Super Random Japan. Nani?
I've wanted to talk about a particular show since before I started my channel. In fact, since the moment I finished binge watching it the day it was released last year. I've now watched it twice, and I liked it just as much the second time. Oh well, I guess I'd better get on with my review, as it's better late than never, so here we go. The most realistic representation of the sumo world, as well as a show that is also addressing topics of feminism, bullying, traditions, and the breaking the mold of those traditions, are all present in Netflix's sumo series Sanctuary, aka Seiki, but done in a well-paced and palatable fashion, all while providing anime-like training, leveling up, and tournament fighting, while not being unrealistic or over-the-top crazy. Whether you want to learn about true sumo, enjoy action or anime, or just good writing, I highly recommend the series. In my opinion, it's an amazing example of storytelling and a prime example of what a live-action anime could be, especially a shonen-style fighting anime. Although it was never an anime or manga itself, I'd definitely read it if it were. In fact, I think the reason the show is so successful is because it's not trying to cram 100 manga chapters into a single season of live action like other series do. It can move at its own pace. The brunt of the story revolves around the delinquent youth, Kiyoshi Oze, who eventually earns the ring name Enno as his career progresses.
Saruzakura. Dassa!
N-O da baga.
縁王。
土俵で金の桜咲かせてこい。N-O!
いや、それもダサいやろ。
He is the son of a broken home and is a former judo champ turned amateur sumo wrestler, striving to make it in the ultra-competitive and traditional national sport of Japan. Sure, while he's supposed to be a teenager, he's clearly not. However, I can suspend belief for the sake of Wataru Ichinose's amazing acting. Unlike characters like Yusuke in the live action of Yu Yu Hakusho, Oze's character is the perfect example of a stubborn delinquent that you could see everyone hating if it weren't for him being the main character, allowing us for a ride on the roller coaster that is his life. He's not a hero by default, and you can see why people hate him. However, by walking in his shoes, you want to see him break the traditions of the sumo world, as the bad boy of wrestling. Mostly you want to see him dig his way out of the hole of poverty and loneliness that is his life. Again, nothing is given to him like a typical protagonist. Oze is a guy who gets some great breaks in life while also being constantly shat on, if that makes sense. Most of the breaks he gets, however, are simply from his raw talent and strength. You see where I'm going with this, anime fans? A teen with raw talent, ready to surprise the world? However, unlike many anime series, especially live-action anime, Sanctuary keeps a perfect pace, as Oze learns and grows both physically and mentally in maturity. Nothing is rushed, nor are we disappointed. Rather than a frustrating one step forward, 2 steps back approach like some dramas do, or 1 step back and 30 steps forward like many anime shows do, the series gives us just enough hope and intrigue by taking more of a kinda 2 steps forward and 1 big step back approach. I don't know if you get that, but it's just enough to have constant hope, but no expectations or predictions. Oze is no phenom or OP savant. He truly earns his stripes, and it's a joy to watch him do so. Oze isn't the only great character with complexity, as virtually everyone has excellent differences, all while complementing each other. You really feel bonds as well as rivalries grow ideally throughout the series. More on this in a moment. The main female character of the show is Asuka Kunishima, played by Shiori Kutsuna, from Western hits like Deadpool and The Outsider. She's a fiery news reporter demoted to the sumo news world due to some scandals, as well as her overly outspoken attitude she gained from quote-unquote studying in America. She's a feminist and all-around social justice warrior, which plays a key aspect here, as the sumo world is steeped heavily in tradition, from nationalism and racism to sexism and infamous levels of bullying within the quote-unquote stables, which is the term for training schools for sumo wrestlers. It's a world rife with stories for Asuka to cover, though she's more concerned with getting her old job back and thus puts sumo stories on the back burner. She eventually finds her passion for the sport, but Asuka doesn't just take off and win people over or get her way like many Western feminist leads would do. Just like Oze, she has a long road of hard knocks and lessons ahead of her, and even gets humbled pretty often. She usually just mumbles and grumbles, expecting to catch a break without doing any major work. The running gag is that she calls everything some sort of harassment, to the extent that even she notices it's a bit over the top, leading to some funny one-liners or gags.
泣いてんのか？
泣いてます。
いや、
てるよな。
セクハラです。
これも
Still, that doesn't mean her viewpoints aren't relevant. She just needs to work extra hard and play by the rules to get them noticed and affirmed. She isn't some Mary Sue that is written to inspire empowered women. She'll get her way eventually, but with a few lessons, especially in humility, along the way. The other sumo wrestlers are extremely well written and all feel like they have their own place in the story, from the wrestlers within Oze's stable to competing wrestlers. Within his own stable, Oze must earn the respect of his superiors and not with sheer grit. Many anime shows and manga will hint that if you just try hard enough or have enough talent, you'll earn respect. However, not here. Oze himself must learn humility and that you need more than raw talent to succeed. From the stoic leadership of the head wrestler Enya to the stern parental leadership of Ensho Oyakata himself, and even down to his peers, Oze must constantly admit his faults while gaining and showing confidence and support. The series does an amazing job of showing someone going from a low-level immature grunt to a poised and badass veteran of the ring. As for the competitors, there is no one as fearsome as the silent but deadly Shizuuchi. An enigmatic monster of a wrestler, his past is slowly drawn out with an ideal amount of mystery and intrigue and balance between a gentle giant and a terrifying killer. However, while he is clearly the biggest obstacle in the ring, the true antagonists of the series are the patriarchy of the sumo world. The old leaders who run the league with an iron fist, doing what they can to achieve their goals and dominance, all in the guise of maintaining tradition. This hypocrisy, however, helps to break open the cracks that Enno and Asuka are slowly forming. As the show progresses, we begin to see that the bureaucracy and patriarchy are beginning to give way. Even as the season comes to an end, however, we still see there's a way to go. However, Enno and Asuka are beginning to gain momentum on the path to achieving their goals, and like a roller coaster, are causing the rest of us aboard to get more and more excited to stay on for the ride. In addition to the main story, I just think this is an excellent example of political correctness meeting reality. It shows not all women want to be feminists or fight for equality. In particular, Enno's initial love interest only wants an easy life and to be taken care of by men. Even if the women want equality, they see vast differences between the sexes. In contrast, some men feel there should be equality and in giving women power. It also shows odd or immature behavior while laughing about it rather than condemning it. There is quote-unquote locker room talk, practical jokes, and even extreme examples like when Oze tries to make extra money by selling erotic pictures of his fellow wrestler to a homosexual fan. Instead of it being a huge scandal, his stable manager simply headbutts him, and the victim of his exploits merely tells him to take better pictures next time.
もっとかっこよく撮れ。はい。
We see how the world of men handle sensitive subject matters that would be inexcusable if done to women. The only downfall of this show, in my opinion, is the cliffhanger of the final episode, and I hate to spoil that, as some people will skip it or wait for the series to finish. However, I still highly recommend watching it as soon as possible, especially as added attention could lead to a second season coming even sooner. This really is a great example of storytelling and is the best representation of sumo I've ever seen in film and television in a long time. It shows the visceral, highly competitive, and hardcore reality that is sumo. Even real world sumo doesn't represent the sport as well as the show does. Being a fan of Japanese sumo wrestling, I always cringe when I see it being taught to the rest of the world mostly through world sumo. Though some of the wrestlers in world sumo were once Japanese wrestlers, they weren't among the elite. World sumo and sumo as seen in most of the movie world is nowhere near as impressive as real traditional Japanese sumo. It's like night and day. Sanctuary shows the raw power, the insane training, and the high stakes of traditional sumo. These aren't large people simply participating in a sport they love. They are competitors of the highest level doing all they can to gain fame and fortune, set records, and be among the best who have ever lived in the limited time they have as they race against the toll that a sport takes on their bodies and lives. Like any professional sport of the highest level, pros retire in their 30s because of extremes put on themselves, whereas other sumo leagues are like company leagues, where you can compete for longer for fun. Anyway, as you can see, whether you want to learn about real sumo, want to see an anime-style live action done right, or just want a really good show to watch that you likely haven't heard anybody talk about or spoil, I highly recommend Netflix's Sanctuary. Go watch it and let me know what you think. And as always, thanks for watching my channel. Please like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Later.
このまま抱きしめて